Hey friends, welcome back to Llama Mama Kayla's Yarn Tube. I hope you're all doing great today. This video is a little bit different. It's not about yarn, but it is about a yarn sister and her son. So I'm thankful that you clicked on this video, and I hope that you will watch all the way through and consider praying for this child, and also not only praying for him, his parents, and asking other prayer warriors that you know to also pray for him. So today's video, I want to ask for prayer for a very special little boy. It is someone who I have had in my prayer journal for at least 5 years. I looked back to try to see. I know he's been in my last 5 prayer journals, and so he is, dear to my heart. He belongs to a yarny sister of ours, Summer at Summer's Tips and Stitches. Her little son Flynn is the cutest little fella. When he was little, he used to be in her videos, and she would be sitting there doing her videos, and he would just kind of be hanging on her arm, kind of hiding behind her, a little bit bashful. Um, and as time went on, he would get a little bit bolder, and he would say things every now and then, like just make some comments or anything, or ask her a question or something during the video. It was very cute. I loved seeing little Flynn in the videos. And then as he's got older, he's not been in her videos. Once in a while, like he'll just pop in and say hi or, something like that. But anyway. So I feel like I've watched Flynn grow up over the years, and a few years back, like I guess it's been about 5 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. Maybe even rocking on 6 years now. Um, Flynn had all of a sudden just started, his leg started enlarging, just one of his legs started getting larger than the other leg. And of course, Summer and her husband were concerned and took him to a doctor. And they tried many different things. They had him doing all these different things for his leg. And none of these things helped because they didn't really fully understand what was going on with his leg. And his leg has just gotten larger and larger and larger. Now, I'm going to link you below, in the description box below, I'm going to leave a link to Summer's video so you can hear what she has to say about that and the diagnosis, because I didn't write it down and bring it out here with me. I wrote it down in my prayer journal, but I didn't bring that out here with me and I might not even be able to say the diagnosis. Sometimes in diagnosis says are out there, the words, So I'm going to leave a link to Summer so she can tell you more about the diagnosis and how they came to the diagnosis after many, many years. Oh, gosh. First off, as a mom, I had my youngest son, Elijah, was born with eosinophilic gastroenteritis. We just knew he was sick, okay? We brought him home from the hospital. He was sick. We went to, I was taking him to his pediatrician, and they were like, oh, he just has colic, because he cried like 14 hours straight every day, and he would just doze off for 10 minutes or so and wake up and cry another 14 hours. It wasn't until he was like 3 months old that I went to my doctor, and I'm like, okay, you got to give him something or give me something. I can't do this. And he said, why don't we set him up an appointment to see a gastro doctor in Shreveport? And I was like, please. So that got the ball rolling for us to get a diagnosis for Elijah. And then that gastro doctor, he was very honest. He said, I've read about this, but I've never treated anyone with this condition. So, and they diagnosed his condition through biopsies. They took biopsies of his esophagus, his stomach, intestines, duodenum, rectum, colon, everything. And he was diagnosed with eosinophilic gastroenteritis. So We had a diagnosis, but we didn't have um, a doctor to treat it. And so we, as parents, it was our job to get our baby help. And we went from doctor to doctor to doctor, gastro doctors all over the South, from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama. And we were just going to all these different doctor's appointments, trying to find someone who could treat our child and knew how to make him better, so he wasn't in this pain and crying all the time. And we would go to doctors and they would say, oh, this is what you need to do. Feed him this, do that. We would leave there so hopeful, like, oh, okay, we're going to go home, we're going to do this, and he's going to be better. No, it did not ever happen like that. That was wishful thinking, because most of the time, doctors just don't know, and especially if they've not treated anyone with these diseases or special conditions and stuff like that. So my heart goes out to Summer, because I understand what it's like not to be able to help your child. And just like we did, Summer and her husband have taken Flynn to different specialists and all these different children's doctors and such to find out what's going on with Flynn's leg. And they would have high hopes that this little squeezy, it's those, what I gathered from a year or so, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years back. I know at one time they were having him to put on this sleeve on his leg, very comparable in my mind, what I was thinking, as when you have surgery in the hospital or you're in the bed, they put these sleeves on your legs that compresses your leg, and it's supposed to prevent blood clots. So at one point, Flynn was wearing this little sleeve on his leg at certain times of the day for a certain amount of time, and it was squeezing his leg, supposedly squeezing the fluid out of his lymph nodes or out of his leg or whatever. Well, that didn't help, but Summer and her husband were willing to try anything and very hopeful that that would help Flynn, but it didn't. And anytime something is wrong with someone, they're always like, oh, you got to do this diet, you got to give up this food, and you got to do this. It's not always food. It's not always about the diet. Sometimes it's more, what's the word I was trying to say? It's more, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. It's more complex than that. It is, a chronic illness that has nothing to do with what you're eating. And so, but Summer has tried all these different things with Flynn. And yeah, I imagine that was very hard to do that with a little young child, because I do know that with my son, Elijah, he ended up being tube fed. I will tell you, after we traveled all these doctors across the South, we were going just in each state, we were going to multiple doctors trying to find help for Elijah. And finally, one day, I saw something actually on TV. I think it was like on Good Morning America. And I talked to Jody about it. And so he was like, well, reach out and see if we can go see that doctor. And we did go to Cincinnati, Ohio, to a children's hospital there, and saw a doctor by the name of Dr. Putnam. And we took Elijah there. And he said yes. He scoped him and did all these tests and said, yes, he has eosinophilic gastroenteritis. Do not feed him food. You're making it worse by feeding him food. Only feed him this magic formula that was super expensive. And so he said that is his medication, is this formula. And so anyway, we did that, and eventually Elijah did get on he had to have a feeding tube. He had a feeding tube for 16 years. And thankfully, we just kept seeking out doctors, and that's what Summer and her husband has done, seeking out doctors for Flynn. And they finally have this diagnosis, but they don't have a treatment plan yet. From what I understood, they don't have like, okay, this is what we're going to do to make him better. And I know my lighting, the sun came out and kind of messed up the lighting, but seeing me is not what matters. Hearing the story of Flynn and, being willing to pray for him and lift him up is what's important. But anyway, guys, my heart breaks for Summer and her husband and for little Flynn because it's hard as a child being different. And I think I lost my train of thought and didn't finish. And I do that in almost every video. Like later, I'm like, I never did circle back and say such and such. But when you're doing a video and you just have so much to say, it's hard to get it all out. But they're having trouble, as you will hear in her video, with like buying him clothes, shoes. He's having trouble like just playing and being a normal little boy. And so it's really hard. And I wanted to just ask my yarn friends, all my friends here, that you say a special prayer for Flynn and his parents and all of his family. I'm sure his siblings are, just as concerned about Flynn as everyone else is. And I know I am a Christian and I believe in the power of prayer, and not everyone does, and that's okay if you don't. But if you have a friend that does, please pass this information to them so that they could pray for Flynn. And I just want to encourage our other YouTube creators to reach out to your audience and ask them to pray for Flynn, because this is very serious. My heart breaks for them, for Flynn. He can't be a normal little boy and run and play and ride bikes and, things that boys are doing his age, because he has this big old leg he has to drag around. And the leg is significantly bigger than his other leg. Summer will share a photo of that at the end of her video, and it is heartbreaking. It is. And I know firsthand experience what that's like, to want to help your child, but you don't know what to do. And you're taking him to all these doctors, and they don't know what to do. So it is very heartbreaking. And I just wanted to ask everyone to reach out and, ask for prayer. Connie at Connie's Crafty Corner. Connie is just such a sweet friend of mine. I love her dearly. She also is asking her subscribers to pray for Flynn. And, that's one thing we can do for Summer and Flynn, is to ask for prayer for them. And if you don't believe in prayer, I'm not, it's okay. But you might know someone who does. Like I said, just share the videos that you come across where people are asking for prayer for Flynn, and put him on your prayer list, on your church prayer list. And I know that her Summer's family would greatly appreciate that, just knowing that people are rallying around and praying for little Flynn. As I said, I've watched Flynn grow up, and I know at one point Flynn was very, very amused that I could crochet with, missing fingers and such. And that's when he was really little, and he was just intrigued by that. He's always been just a cute little fella, but he's growing up, and 10-year-old little boys want to get out and play and run and do all these things, and Flynn has trouble doing that. He needs a doctor that knows what to do and can help him and reduce the lymphomas. I guess it's a lymphedema lymphoma type thing, but it has a diagnosis name that Summer will say in her video. But I'm rambling now. I'm just kind of rambling and circling back and saying the same thing over. And I'm sorry about that, but it is dear on my heart. And I, ask you to take this on yourself and pray for Flynn also. And let's watch for a miracle for Flynn. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and I will link Summer's information, her YouTube channel, and her video asking for prayer for Flynn in the description box below. So check that out. Let Summer know you're praying for them. And I appreciate you all very much, guys. Bye, friends.